Hey guys, so the reviews for Master Collection Volume 2 are finally in. The first wave of reviews actually has just come in, and it's very positive. More importantly for us, the technical feedback around MGS4 is much better than I actually expected, and some of it I actually predicted. The review thread is currently reporting 84 on OpenCritic with 100% recommended from 8 reviews. So that's obviously still a very small sample and will move as more outlets publish individual scores. And the big story here is that MGS4 appears to be a genuinely good port, and that's very interesting. That kind of jumps out at me. Every reviewer has reported that 4K 60 FPS on PS5 is basically locked. They're describing it as a locked 60 FPS. There's no dips, no stutters or anything like that. And COG Connected calls it a steady 60, and TechRadar says it maintained a solid 60 throughout the testing, so that's a very massive improvement over the original PS3 version, which could fall well below 30 FPS. And of course, it's much better than emulating the game. Loading is apparently massively improved as well, which is what we expected. You can already get that in emulator as well. The infamous installation screen where Snake sits around smoking is gone, unfortunately. So that's understandable, right? And transition load times are basically extremely short. It's like blink of an eye. You blink and you miss it. CG Magazine specifically described this as loading basically being nearly instantaneous. So if you see my previous MGS4 emulation video, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Apparently, it's not emulating the PlayStation 3 game. Gaming Bible stated that the game is running natively on modern hardware. So it's not an emulation, it's not some sort of crazy wrapper like MGS1 was. This is a full-blown port, and the game is running natively. And this is a very good outcome for Metal Gear Solid 4. This is what we were hoping for. They have modified some things, so there are proper control improvements. Push Square noted that the original L1, R1 aiming and firing have been changed to a more natural L2, R2 by default, which makes sense. Gaming Bible says there are alternative control layouts and full button remapping, which is amazing. You know, you get games that come out in 2026, they still don't have this. There's also a fascinating little preservation detail. TechRadar reported that the PlayStation 3 itself is still visible aboard the Nomad, but the famous dialogue referencing the platform has been altered depending on the platform you're playing on. Apparently, Christopher Randolph, so the guy that voices Otacon, recorded new dialogue, and the reviewer says the age difference in his voice is fairly noticeable, so that'll be kind of interesting to see. Most of the original PlayStation specific stuff appears to have survived in the PS5 version. CG Magazine explicitly says that Sony references remain intact there. Visually though, don't expect a remake, so that's kind of what we knew, right? This is more like a high quality remaster or port, rather than some sort of asset overhaul. So at least this time for sure we know that console players are going to be eating good with the 4K 60 locked. So if you're on PS5, props to you. Still don't understand why this is not coming to PS4, which is very bizarre and jarring. The game obviously is substantially sharper thanks to increased internal resolution and 4K output. CG Magazine says there hasn't been new texture work outside things such as UI assets, but that is slightly incorrect because a few people on Twitter have pointed out that there have been slight texture improvements across the whole board. Not massive overhauls, but just small things like, you know, like some detailing on Snake's vest and stuff, right? Game Reactor similarly says textures haven't been substantially changed. So yeah, I guess I can agree with this, right? They haven't been overhauled or changed drastically. Game Reactor also claims the old yellow tint has been reduced and removed. So the old yellow piss filter that we had, which I kind of liked, has been kind of removed or toned down, and the lighting is being tweaked, which I don't know how I feel about that. I would like it to remain there as an option at least. Maybe someone will make a mod for it, which would be great. And apparently, you know, the game holds up really well at high resolution, but if you've played this on an emulator, you already know this. The game looks fantastic. Let's be honest here. Peacewalker is unfortunately a bit less ambitious. This is where the reviews kind of start getting mixed. Peacewalker is essentially the existing Bluepoint HD collection port, as we've known, and it's brought forward again rather than receiving the same attention as MGS4. You just get the higher rendering resolution, 60 FPS, dual analog controls, which is, you know, very nice. And the additional resolution display options Konami announced, but the underlying PSP era assets remain very obvious, which we all expected, to be honest, right? It's a PSP game that's been ported however many generations forward, and it's not a remake. So the good news is that the online co-op survived. The PlayStation listing confirms up to 6 online players, although several reviewers weren't able to properly test multiplayer during their review period. Makes sense, right? There's only probably a couple people playing. There's one slightly worrying report from Gaming Bible. Their reviewer encountered significant audio cutscene desynchronization in Peacewalker, eventually getting roughly a minute out of sync. That doesn't appear to be a widespread complaint though across the other reviewers. I've read through, so right now I treat that as kind of like a reported bug, maybe a potential bug that exists. So beware of it if you do play Peacewalker. Another thing reviewers keep mentioning is that Peacewalker's original design limitations are still there. Bosses can be ridiculously spongy when playing solo because of the game's co-op focus. Obviously, they haven't suddenly added things like crawling or redesigned its PSP era mission structure. So this is more of a complaint about the game, I guess, rather than the ports, which is understandable. But the game still fucking rocks. It's an awesome game. Definitely recommend playing it if you're an MGS fan. And in my opinion, it's a better game. Between this and MGS5, I prefer Peacewalker any day. So yeah. Ghost Babel is getting pretty surprisingly nice comments as well. It's the third bonus game that they added to the collection, and it's definitely not the headline game, but reviewers genuinely seem happy Konami included it. I myself am happy they included it. These NES fucking era games, MSX, right? They deserve to be preserved, and I'm glad that it's happening. Tech Radar called it one of the better Metal Gear spin-offs, while COG Connected specifically praises its inclusion as part of the preservation value of the package. I wholeheartedly agree. So basically a good preservation inclusion, not something that's selling Volume 2 for sure, but it's very lovely to have it anyway. Now if we could get the rest of the games Konami, that would make my day. So here is where the criticism is coming, and this is where there's actually quite a strong consensus as well. No MGO2. Obviously we already knew that, but reviewers are explicitly listing it as one of the package's major omissions. I feel that's a big omission as well. I currently have a petition going that's, I don't think going anywhere, but I have a petition to bring it back. So if you're interested, please sign it. We might be able to get Konami to do something if they see there's enough demand. But yeah, it feels very fragmented because of that. So the collection apparently still feels kind of, divided rather than one nice museum-style launcher. You've effectively got separate apps launches for MGS4, Peacewalker, and the bonus material. Push Square specifically complains that things like soundtracks and the MGS4 database feel awkwardly distributed between them. So it's kind of like, they divided the content up into launches, and it's a bit messy. There's also a recurring complaint that Volume 2 simply doesn't contain much compared with Volume 1, and well, I do have to agree. You get MGS4, which is, yes, the big one that everyone waited for. You get Peacewalker and Ghost Babel. It's a strong trio, but outlets reportedly mentioned the absence of things like Acid, Portable Ops, Rising. This is stuff we have covered on this channel time and time again, right? The same complaint we have is, where are the other games? Where's Rising? Rising needs a good remaster. It's not available on current consoles. So yeah, where is it, right? So the Game Reactor review basically, the reviewer sums it up that MGS4 is carrying the collection hard. So essentially, that's the big headline game for this collection. And I think that is the narrative around Volume 2. The only thing we have here, though, is PS5 coverage. It fucks me off when all these reviewers, all they do is review PS5 footage, right? And PS5 Pro and PlayStation, and that's it. They don't test other platforms like Xbox or PC. I wish at least one of them would have tested PC, but none of them did. I'm not seeing a proper technical PC review in the initial wave of reviews yet. And that means questions like, shader compilation starter, is it there? CPU utilization, frame pacing, 60 FPS cat behavior, how does it behave? Can we remove it? Arbitrary resolutions like ultra wide, keyboard and mouse support, graphic settings, what's actually there? What can we expect? We do not know because none of these guys reviewed it on PC, so who knows? It's all kind of unanswered. Maybe a review will come out in the future covering this. I will for sure be covering the PC port. You can count on me with that. Same with Peacewalker and Ghost Babel. Maybe not so much because a Nokia could probably run that game. So not much to do port wise there. But Peacewalker and MGS4, I'll definitely test and see what it's running like. So that's pretty much it, right? The general consensus is very positive. MGS4 is carrying the collection hard. MGS4 is running well, which everyone was worried about. So if a PlayStation 5 can do 60 FPS at 4K without any crazy resolution upscaling, well, I imagine it's probably native. It's not downscaling, upscaling, or anything. We're looking at probably good PC performance as well. I want to be cautiously optimistic, but yeah, that's kind of all we know. So it's looking positive, guys. So like less than a week now till this releases, and we'll be playing MGS4. I've actually booked time off work, so I'll be streaming that game. I'll be playing it, reviewing it. I'll be spending an entire day with it, and you know, I'll probably give you a review if I can, tell you how it performs, how it runs, and how things are looking. So yeah, if you stuck around now, thank you for watching, and peace.